Hello again, guys! I hope you are all doing well and are ready for another super fun and very exciting math video. This week, since the Tigers class is going to be learning about dinosaurs, I figured we would take one of our videos into the kitchen and make dinosaur nests. So to get started for this, we're going to need a couple of things. One thing we're going to need is a sauce pot and a stove. We're going to need a whisk, some spoons, and then all of our ingredients and the recipe. The recipe will either be in the description with this video or in the comments down below. So let's get started making dinosaur nests. These are also known as no-bake cookies. So what we're going to need first is we're going to need 1/4 of a cup of butter. So we're going to take that and we're just going to pop it right inside our saucepan. We're going to put it on a medium heat, kind of a low heat. What we want to do is just melt the butter right now. So we're going to put in our butter, or 1/4 of a cup of butter. We're also going to put in 1½ cups of granulated sugar. Now I'm going to wait to put this in here until after the butter has already melted a little bit, just to make things a little bit easier. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to give you some helpful tips to make these no-bake cookies dinosaur nests. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have all of your ingredients set up together, kind of like I do right here. So I've got all of my ingredients already set up and measured so that they're ready to go. And since the way we make these cookies involves just kind of throwing all of the stuff in once it's all together, that's going to be really helpful for you when you're making these cookies together as well. And one tip to get your butter to melt faster is just break it up a little bit so that it's in slightly smaller pieces, so you don't have as long to wait for the butter to melt. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to get it breaking up, because once it starts to melt, it starts sliding around all over the place. Okay, that's probably good. I'll just get that heated up there. Okay, so we have our 1 1/4 cups of butter, 1/4 of a cup, sorry. 1/4 of a cup of butter, and then we're going to pour in our 1½ cups of granulated sugar. Then we're also going to put in 1/2 a cup of milk and a 1/4 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. So we're just letting that butter get nice and melty. This is actually probably going to take the longest part, because once we get the butter, sugar, milk, and cocoa all mixed in together, we're going to stir it up, and then once it comes to a boil, we're going to let it simmer for just 1 minute. So that brings me to another tip for making these. Don't overcook or over stir the mixture. This is where low heat is your friend. Because we don't want to overwork the butter, sugar, milk, and chocolate mixture, or overcook it, because that'll make the resulting cookies just a little bit grainy in their texture. So if we want it nice and smooth, don't overwork or overcook our cookie base. Alright, so now that my mixture is nice and liquidy here, I'm going to go ahead and pour in my sugar. There we go. I'm going to pour in my cocoa powder. Let's see if we can adjust this a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to pour in my 1/2 a cup of milk. And there we go. Now I'm going to take my whisk and I'm going to whisk this all together. At this point, it's going to start smelling really good. And we really just want to make sure that the sugar, butter, milk, and cocoa powder is just nicely combined so there's not too many lumps in there. And then we're going to stir it occasionally as it heats up. Okay. Yeah. So right now we're just going to let it heat up slowly. And this could take a little bit of time. You'll also notice that the mixture starts to get a lot thicker at this point too. And it'll do that as it heats up. All right, and while we're waiting for that to heat up, I have a couple of questions for you guys about dinosaurs. What is your favorite dinosaur? What do you guys already know about dinosaurs? And when and where do you think dinosaurs lived? If you want to just reply to this video or put it in the comments down below if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're watching, go ahead and mention that. I think I'd have to say that my favorite dinosaur is the Triceratops. And I think that has everything to do with the fact that we kind of share almost the same name. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and just stir our mixture a little bit just to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan. Yep, we can hear that it's starting to heat up a little bit, and that'll be great. Alright, so while we're also waiting for this to come to a boil, you can also start preparing where we're going to be putting these. So there are two ways that we can do this. For dinosaur nests, we are going to need our spoons, and then we're either going to need parchment paper, or, like I have here, a sheet of tin foil. And you don't need to do much for the sheet of tin foil, just pull it out and set it on a flat surface. We're going to need that once this is all ready. And we're actually getting really close for it to boil. The other thing that you can do is take just an ordinary baking dish, and I sprayed mine with just some canola cooking oil so it doesn't stick. If you don't want to make the individual nests, you can just pour the cookie batter into here and then just let it sit. Ooh, and we are definitely getting really close. I can hear it heating up. It's going to get started simmering here really soon. Alright. And we want to make sure that the mixture actually does come to a simmer. Otherwise it's not going to get to that consistency that we need it to get to stay solid. And I see some bubbles. Alright, there we go. It has come to a simmer, so what we're going to do is we're going to let it simmer for 1 minute, which I have over here on my timer that I'm going to set off, starting now. Okay. And then we're going to let it simmer without stirring it for that 1 minute. Yeah, and this is where it starts to smell really good. So as soon as it's done simmering, I am going to take it off the heat that it's on. Let's adjust this so you guys can see. There we go. And you can see that going off really nice there. So we're going to take it off the heat that it's on, and then we're going to put in the next ingredients, which are 2/3 cup of peanut butter, creamy or not creamy if that's what you prefer. And then we're also going to put in 3 cups of oats. I like using Quaker's old-fashioned oats. And you want to put this stuff in immediately so that the peanut butter melts with this. We're also going to put in vanilla. All right, and there's our timer, so we're going to turn the heat off, We're going to move it to another burner. We're going to pour in the vanilla. You're going to want to use a tablespoon. And I never measure my vanilla because I always like using a little bit more. It's just tastier that way. So we're going to put in the vanilla. We're going to put in peanut butter. And I like using a small spatula to work the peanut butter with because it tends to work a little bit better that way. You get more control over it. Okay. Now I'm going to stir the vanilla and the peanut butter in together so that that peanut butter starts to melt. And then I'm going to put in the oatmeal. And you can use the spatula, a spoon, or the whisk to get that mixed in together. So here we go. That peanut butter's in and it's starting to melt. It's great. And now I can add the oats. Now the recipe I am following says to leave it sit for 5 minutes so that the oats can absorb some of the moisture. And you guys can totally do that, or you can just go ahead and get started making your dinosaur nests. Okay, so we're going to bring it back over here so you guys can kind of see a little bit of what I'm doing. We just mixed the peanut butter in, and now we're mixing the oats in. And this is a great way to talk about both math using measurement with your kids, but then also talking about, science and, what happened to the sugar. Why is the sugar now dissolved into the milk and into the butter? So you can talk a little bit about liquids and solids there and how things change when they heat up. All right, so here we've got our cookie mixture. So what we're going to do, try not to make too much of a mess. We're going to move over to our table over here. I am going to grab some pot holders. Oops. To set this down on. Then we are going to take just 1 tablespoon of the cookie mixture and put it on the parchment paper, or in my case, the tin foil. And you can make as many of these on the tray as you would like, or if you're using the baking sheet, just pour it in. Get out as much as you can and get it in there. There we go. You definitely want to make sure that you are getting as much out of the pan as you can. And then the last thing that we're going to do is decorate them. So I have here a couple of Hershey's chocolate eggs that we're going to unwrap, and then we're going to put on top of our dinosaur nests to make dinosaur eggs. And you guys can use whatever you have at home to decorate. You don't have to put dinosaur eggs on top, or you can use jelly beans, whatever you have. So we're just going to put them in there. Right on top like that. I'm just going to put 2 in each. And there we have our dinosaur nests. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you for the next video. Bye!